Well, here we are at high noon behind one of the older houses in the neighborhood. Goes back to the 60s. In this particular part of town, that was early. Probed out something over, well, kind of where my probe and that shovel is. And doesn't feel real exciting, but it's softer than anywhere else around here. And there's brick, and a lot of these older holes hide the glass until you get down 6 or 7 or 8 feet, and this is actually my long probe at 5 foot. So anyway, we'll do a test hole, tarp it out, do a test hole, and see what happens. Well, after a little more than an hour, so far all we got is a big pile of dirt and clay with one itty bitty pottery shard from what looks like a teacup. But over here, we just probed out some serious looking ash, and it went all the way down to the handle, solid ash. Unlike this over here that was only a couple of feet, and actually only a couple inches, about a couple of feet. So I think we're going to dig here, throw it there, and then we'll fill this in. Here we go, we'll fill that in with that. Yeah, we'll figure it out. 25 minutes later, and we're into another ash pit, but at least it has what looks like to be at least a clay wall, maybe a stone wall in that direction, and a little bit of bone, which the other hole didn't have. So, and it just kept going down. It went down 5 feet. So, I don't know. I've dug 6-foot clay caps in this neighborhood. God only knows what's down there. So after another 20 minutes, we hit another layer down about 4 feet. And the 5-foot probe goes down another 4 feet from there. So, I guess we're committed to opening it up and closing that one down. And hopefully me and God will know what's at the bottom before too long. Since right now, God only knows. Well, after 3.5 hours of digging, and not just in this hole, but in this hole, that's no longer a hole, it's a mound, we have 2 bottles. Although one's from Katy Railroad in Sedalia, the hospital department, which is a cool bottle. It's unlike the other one I have from there. And yeah, here's the Katy bottle. That's pretty cool. And the other one is a pretty common Franco-American hygienic company, but it's got a label that's almost readable. I think I have a smaller one, and I think it was like a curling fluid or something for the hair. Anyway, still got 3 feet or more to go to the bottom. So, to the bottom we shall go. Yeah, it's about 4:30. And we had to bring in the top because there was, big slabs of concrete above. I don't know if you can see that or not. That one was just begging to take off my head. So, I decided not to let it. It was easier dropping it in the hole than letting it hang over me. Then we'll be able to widen it out a little bit. Still haven't hit the bottom yet, but there was another layer of ash right at the bottom, so who knows, might be one good bottle down there. Got a whole bunch of slicks, a couple of keepers, and some for the junk box. far. Okay, by the church bell chimes, it's 5 o'clock. 5 something anyway. And we are done for the day. I did hit the bottom down in that corner where I pulled out a Hood's sarsaparilla. Still nowhere near the 70s or earlier. Lucky to be in the 80s. Gotta be another hole here somewhere. I was gonna find it. Day 2, 12:30. Back at the 910, I think, Center Street. The big hole. Did hit the bottom, and we're going to clean it out. Hopefully be done in a couple hours or less. And then hire Johnny, my neighbor, to fill her in, because I know I'm going to be tired after I lump out the dirt in these buckets. Well, this is just the way we like to find them. There's 3 on the bottom, and 1 there, and 1 over in the corner. I don't know which one to dig first. I think that one in the middle down here is a Payne's celery compound, and I just pulled out a amber panel, blank side. So I'm suspecting that's what that is. Anyway, I'm at a precarious point, so I'm just gonna turn off the camera and dig them out. They look all to be Hood sarsaparillas. Payne's celery compound, maybe if I'm lucky, a Kilmer's swamp root. I gotta go dig them out. Well, it's almost 2:45. I just pulled out 2 more Kilmers and another Hood's, making it, I think, 3 apiece for the day. I don't know, I'm losing track. But got a few goodies that I didn't expect. The Kilmers being one of them. Being the earlier cures with the Great and Specific. Yay! I'm happy. Well, after nearly 4 hours of digging, it's finally come to an end. We got some good bottles. Like 4 Kilmers. Cures. A whole bunch of slicks. Some of the biggest slicks I ever dug in my life. And a big ass hole. With all this dirt, it's got to go back in. So, that said, we call it a closing end to another dig. Boy, I'm tired. I wonder if I sound as tired as I feel. Probably. So I'll shut up. Well, these are the last remnants of that dig where I dug up a bunch of meds, but pretty common stuff. The coolest bottle that I wish I had kept was the Carter's Indelible Ink Cobalt Blue little guy. I don't know why I sold it. I had a small collection of them in different colors. But, you know, and I realize leading this off with a Kilmer swamp root is not the most exciting thing for most people. But in my case, I believe I hold the record for you who have a particular bottle you've been wanting to dig forever. This was my first large-sized Kilmer swamp root with the great and specific and cure. I dug one that was a remedy without the great and specific, but it took me 50 years. This was in 2014 when I dug this up. Over 50 years, because I think I started in spring of '64. So that's got to be a record. By then I'd already dug up the Amber Pikes Peak and the Wilcox Cure and, you know, a few others that are, you know, considered scarce if not rare. And here I couldn't dig up a large size Kilmers, and out of this hole I dug up 3 at least that I remember. And also I was cursed with the inability to dig up a hood sarsaparilla for the longest time. I had to move to the Midwest to dig one up, believe it or not. I guess out west I was too far away. Actually, I dug one that was badly damaged or melted or something, and I remember how bummed I was. But anyway, I got my Kilmers, 50 years in the making. That's why that's special to me. I've dug every other common Kilmers. You know, I would have almost not been surprised to dig up the consumption lungs bottle before I dug up one of these. And then this cool little swan. I think this was a salt cellar is what they called them, you know, where they would just keep salt in there and you'd dish it out with a little spoon. Badly damaged. It's cracked all the way through. The wing is chipped here. But you know, I just, even with its damage, I love the heck out of it. It's just too cool. I mean, it's a graceful, beautiful piece, and it, you know, probably sold for 2 cents or something new, you know. But anyway, there you have it. That's the story behind this hole. And like I mentioned in the video, there's got to be an older hole there somewhere. Yeah, there was supposed to be some age there. I had to go back in my cabinet and dig out this Dr. King's new discovery for consumption. Now don't all get too excited at once here. Yeah, another common one, but however, if you look closely at the embossing on this thing, that's really kind of a borderline serif style early kind of embossing, and the S's look real Pittsburghy. You know, they've got that serpentine look to them, I say. And you know, it's out of Chicago, not the earliest King products. They were over somewhere else before Buckland bought them out. And I always thought these were 1890s bottles along with like the Dr. Pierce's stuff. But if you can see real closely, that's actually an applied top. And almost wants to be a hinge mold here. I think it's a cup mold, but I couldn't swear to it. Earliest Kings I've ever dug up. And a large size too. This is not your typical smaller size Kings. I dug up 2 large size. The other one was clearly a tool top with the crisper embossing and didn't have the funkiness. That's why it no longer resides in my collection. But it got me looking. You know, one of the things that it did for me was I started checking out my collection of King's samples. And by golly, if I didn't have one in my sample collection that actually had a really hard to notice applied top, clearly applied, crude. And some of the samples had Chicago, Illinois on the wrong side, and H.E. Buckland on the opposite. Somehow they got switched on the sides. I've never seen another one. Not like everybody looks real close at Dr. King's or Swamp Roots or anything else for that matter, but you know, the common stuff tends to get overlooked for what we tend to find in more unusual or uncommon bottles. So anyway, yeah, I remember there was something that stood out for me, and that was this bad boy here. That's just boy, that's just a sweet little Dr. King's bottle. Clearly 1870s, but I think there's still an older pit somewhere. I think it should go back into the 60s. So one of these days, I might get back there and find it. Maybe this summer, yeah.